welcome to the Hunters Hub, a Monster Hunter community podcast for hunters by hunters. Hello, hunters, and welcome to the Hunters Hub, episode 13. Today we are joined by the guest that keeps guesting, Haru.
Hello. I'm never leaving.
And welcome back, Lobo, from being extremely sick.
Hello, I am not dead.
So I'm going to do something a little bit different. We don't do a lot of, advertising stuff on this pod because we just sort of post it to Reddit and, where we listen to SoundCloud and that kind of stuff. But a couple little things to talk about beforehand. First of all, we are up on iTunes now. That got approved and went through. So if you guys find us on iTunes, leave a comment or, a review on there. That helps us out, get some visibility. And of course, like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. But also we have launched a Patreon, just sort of like a tip jar. We're not dependent on the Patreon to keep running. It'll help us get better equipment and that kind of stuff. And you can find that at patreon.com/huntershub, all one word, no apostrophe. So cool. All that boring stuff out of the way. Tonight we're going to talk about Kieran being confirmed and some hunter stories. I'll just open it up right at the start. What do you guys think about Kieran coming back?
I am excited, partially because we have the best armor set again.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as in, a lot of people like it. I've never used the Kieran set, but yeah.
I'll give you that the greatsword is very, very nice design, but yeah.
I like the weapons too. Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely log that Kieran armor as fan favorite or fan service.
Yeah. I think I might, because I normally play female hunters, I might stick to the, Kushala armor.
I always like the weapons too, though, because especially the Kieran gun sword or gun lance always looked pretty fun.
Thought you were going Final Fantasy VIII up in here.
I mean, hey, maybe one day.
Squall, get your Kieran sword. Gun sword. Wouldn't that be crazy if we got a Final Fantasy crossover?
I think, we did have one previously. I thought we'd be having another one would be even cooler, though.
We did?
Yeah, that was the, one of the armor designers for Final Fantasy designed the scythe armor.
Yeah.
And a long sword that was steel black feathers. So that happened.
Yep.
And I think the armor set was the Rage set or something like that. It was pretty cool.
Oh, just they were selling the models of it in Japan, which is funny to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff, though. It looks cool. I was going to say, speaking of Rage armor, the Diablos on the brain. Devil Joe set always reminds me of a freaking football player. Even more so than the Hermitar, even though the Hermitar is straight up football player. But for some reason, just the helmet reminds me sort of like a football player. Just
oh yeah, isn't the Diablo set Eric's or isn't maybe not Eric's, but there's a famous YouTuber Monster Hunter that uses Diablo set as his main gear. And I'm trying to remember who it is now. It's
not Gaijin, I don't think. I think both Erics and Gaijin have said they like Diablo's set, but I don't know the viewer of them saying that's my main armor or anything.
I'll figure it out.
Of course, it could be someone else. It's not like they're the only YouTubers doing Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it's just those are the main two that come to mind.
True.
So
or Shep.
So Kieran being confirmed is like really nice because they showed it in the Coral Highlands at the very top of it. Who knows how
Hmm.
it climbed up there? It's a horse, but that's beside the point. Because I think on our speculation episode we were talking about like um, I
It
think I meant.
bounced.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I think we were talking about. I think I mentioned Kieran should show up in the Coral Highlands because it's a glowing white horsey,
you
and
did.
it would be attractive there, and I'm glad it is. Maybe we'll also get Kushala up in the Stormspire place.
Yeah, in that area.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
it does look very cold up where they're at, and that little screenshot we got of him in that. But by the way, if you haven't heard, you probably heard everywhere else before coming to us. But anyways, um, Kieran was confirmed not like through any sort of official channels, other than there was a TV spot in Japan that we all got to see. Someone ripped it and put it online or something, and Kieran is shown in that TV spot at I'm going to say the Coral Highlands peak, or at least the top of the area. It's pretty clear that, it's very cold up there at least. It looks like snow and ice up there, but Kieran tends to inhabit those colder environments in the games, and the jungle for some reason. It's like cold and jungle.
It's like Arthurian. The forest can be all misty and
Mm.
mysterious, and I don't know. Maybe the
Good
witch,
old England.
maybe the witches will come to him. Although that's like Shakespeare.
I hate Shakespeare.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Sorry, I'm not into tragedies, and that's all he does. So.
But the dick jokes are so cultured.
So I mean, I know of them, but yeah, I've read a lot of them, and I don't like them. Not like not like, oh, I read Shakespeare in my free time and he's a hack. Like, no, I was required to read it for high school, and I was like, I just stop. So one thing that's interesting about Kieran, at least from this TV screen, he's at least a gold crown size. Like, he is tremendously bigger than what the standard Kieran is. Like, standard Kieran is like horse pony size. This thing is like full on like what are those mastiffs? The Russian horses? Clydesdales.
Yes, that's it.
Mastiffs. That's a dog. So yeah, I think I'm excited to see how Kieran turns out, because obviously they've redesigned a lot of things.
I can't wait to see the new moves they're giving him because they've so far given all the returning monsters a new move too. And so I want to know how you're going to make Kieran more so, more modern, and how you're going to have him interact with the environment. Because as of right now, he does, his standard bounce around, but he requires kind of larger areas because he goes pretty far and will end up running into walls. But now that we have, big open areas and walls over the place, I think I'm interested in to see how they're going to make his movement more fluid versus his very stiff movement path that he has now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, I at this point I'm kind of assuming all the returning monsters are gonna get some sort of a rework, especially the really old ones like Kieran. Um,
Mm-hmm.
from the clip it was shown in that Japanese commercial, it's just like 1 second or something. It had this people were calling it a lightning lasso, where it shot out a lightning bolt in front of it like usual, but like hunters were all like a whole hunting party in a pretty wide range was all toppled and flung back towards it. Um,
Hmm.
so that was pretty funny.
One thing I am excited about too is I don't know if it was in the infamous list or not, but I'd like to see a Roshi Kieran come back as well.
I mean, he's on that leak list.
Because I always love that ice element as well. And usually the Monster Hunter selection of ice monsters is a little limited.
Well, you don't like Snow Bunny?
No. He's alright. He's not exciting. He's more frustrating to me.
Yeah, I like the what were they called? Pelagonus? What was their cat? It was so weird. Pel something.
Oh, you mean the type
Basically,
of monster?
yeah, the bear monsters. I liked them, but yeah, they all were weak, like really weak, so much that they almost weren't a challenge. Which is why I'm kind of glad they got Deviants in Generations, because it actually made them challenging. But
I'm actually
we're
just
not
trying
getting that anymore.
I'm actually just trying to think of how many ice monsters there are in general, because I can only name maybe 4.
So you got Zami, you've got Barioth, you've got Lagombi, you've got Glacial Ignactor, you've got Jade Baroth, Devil Joe, kind of.
Is he
Tigrex,
really?
kind of. Well, because they can throw the ice balls. Both
Oh
of them.
yeah. Well, I mean, like
Um,
monsters who their element, it be when you make
is
a weapon out
ice.
of them, they
Yeah.
become ice.
Suffice it to say, the list grows a lot longer if you include subspecies, because they just.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to, because without subspecies, I think it's just Lagombi,
Barioth,
Kushala, Barioth.
which I've never actually gotten to fight Barioth proper, just in
Demo.
the double cross demo.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I never got to him in double cross either.
So you never. But didn't you start playing in 3U?
I tested 3U for a little bit because I remember I picked up my first one was Try, in which I played for all of like 5 hours with the motion controls, and then I quit. And then I picked it back up in 4U, so I never got to play.
Oh.
All the 3rd generation monsters are kind of lost to me because I don't know 3U very well. So that's also why I don't have a Glacial Ignactor under my belt.
Yeah, Glacial Ignactor is just kind of Ignactor with more bouncing.
That's sorry. I'm forgetting an ice monster, and that's Blangonga.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hate him. It's just a low rank Rajang that can kill you super easily, and if he never comes back, I'll be happy.
But what we really...
I mean, that roar, I would put him in the top 10s for roars.
Really?
Yeah.
Gonna make me go ahead and look it up again, because I can't remember what his roar sounds like.
It's super cool. Oh, I get more than Rajang's, really. Like, Rajang sounds all distorted and digital, and his sounds very primal.
So is it more of a growl or sort of a hiss? Maybe sort of a bleeding noise?
Gonga roar.
Yeah, it's different.
I like the Diablos' roars though, just because they're super loud.
Yeah. Yeah, I still never changed that setting on my PlayStation to actually hear the roars better.
Oh, that's right. You told me there was an option for that.
Yeah, I'll have to remember to do that for Thursday. So, 2 days. Spoilers, today's January 16th when we're recording. My birthday, yay!
Is it your birthday?
Anyways.
I did not know. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. I was just saying that because it was... Yeah, I wasn't trying to get like happy birthdays, but anyways.
It's going to happen now. It's going to be all in the comments.
Well, we're on air. It's mandatory now.
Yeah. But, yeah, the 18th is the 3rd demo. So, you get to fight Nergigante, which I think I'm going to try to take him on solo before I play with anybody.
I'm going to wait, I think, to fight Nergigante till I get to the real game. That way I have the real impact of like, oh god, what am I doing? As you meet him in the storyline or whatever.
Sure.
That Lagiacrus quest where they just throw you in there.
The Lagiacrus quest?
Yeah, it was,
the Monster Guts quest.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just like one quest and try where you're like going out gathering fish guts or something. And then they just like throw a Lagiacrus in the pool with you and like
yep.
Try and complete
it's the classic
quest.
You're not ready for this quest.
I always liked hearing your guide, because that is the part that I did obviously get to. But I loved hearing the guide panic and just be, get out of there, run.
Yeah.
And it's still optional to run. It's not like it immediately force quits you. You can try to fight it. You'll fail, but you can try.
Yeah. They started that with Freedom 2 with Tigrex. It's a Popo Tongue quest. It's the first scripted quest like that. In the original Monster Hunter, you had, I think it was literally one of the early gathering quests, and I want to say it was a mushroom quest. I think it was unique mushrooms in the forest and hills. They don't give you any sort of scripted events because that wasn't a thing in Monster Hunter 1. But like I remember distinctly being up in the sort of cliff area, the upper right area of the map. I don't know the numbers. But I'm gathering mushrooms and then I just hear this like how do you get the Rathalos roar? And I was like, what is that? And I turn around and it's like, oh, it's the monster on the cover of the box. That's cool. One shot.
Doesn't the one with Tigrex, the one where Tigrex is the main villain, doesn't that start off with you just getting the crap beat out of you up on the mountain and then you just kind of wake up in the village?
Yeah. The opening cutscene sort of takes off from the CG cutscene almost.
Really, that's neat.
It's very similar. Yeah, you're basically like, you have a longsword actually, and you're like, all right, I'm going to defend myself, and I'm on the edge of the cliff, and he just knocks you off. It's like, hey, welcome to Poke. Here's a house.
They're probably impressed that you didn't die from the fall.
I wish the real world was like that. Oh, you just get beat up in an alley? Here's a house.
Like certain Uncharted games I could mention.
Jeez.
I was somebody had pointed out the other day that they probably are willing to give you free stuff in the villages because you're almost a god to them. Because in one of the early quests for 3U, I guess, in one of the early quests for 3U, the guards mention how they're scared of going out and taking care of this great Jaggy. Like, if the guards are unable to kill a great Jaggy, the fact that you even survived an encounter with the Tigrex must make you, future king or something.
Well, sure, that's just how the society works. You have like your normal sort of small village society, and then the hunter is sort of like the guardian of the town. It's just lore-wise how those communities work. And then the guild. I mean, you're a direct like what do you call it? Emissary of the guild with your own handler in the 3 and 3U. Like they actually send you to that town.
I say, wasn't 3U you were like the first hunter for them? Because they were still just barely setting up the hunter's hub or not the hunter's hub, but they were just barely setting up the hunter's board for you to get quests. That's why they send you off on gathering quests, because they're like, go keep yourself entertained for a while we finish building this.
Well, you were the only guild hunter. I think they say the village chief used to be a hunter, but he grew old and stuff. He was
retired though.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But
you were totally right about that, Haru.
Fortuan, that is technically the structure of the society, but actually the guild is a scheme. It's like a mobile game, and they're trying to catch whale hunters that'll kill all the monsters for them and make it safe. Play for 300 hours.
Please don't bring EA into the Monster Hunter world, please.
No, they already said the monsters are loot boxes. It's all a plan, man. It's all.
You get 5 carts a day. Any more than that, you have to start paying microtransactions.
The guild is like Scientology, man. It has levels. It has ranks.
Oh no!
You actually have to pay 10 cents to eat before a hunt.
Yeah, man. That's your fees.
Yeah.
But
that's your daily buff. If you want more, pay up.
But there was actually other stuff in the little commercial snippets, like some nice trailer shots. One of them we were talking about Kushala. It showed Nergigante like wrestling tossing him across the volcano map. So people were saying that it's probably got a higher power level because of that.
I wouldn't say so. I could see Kushala basically getting the jump on Nergigante, sort of like Giratatis does with Baroth, and Baroth throws him off. I can see
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just a Yeah, it's speculation, of course, because we only saw part of that territorial clash. We didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah,
In
no,
fact, I don't think they showed a whole territorial clash of anything in that TV spot.
I know, man. They loved the cutaway, keep us in suspense. Um, so yeah, that'd be interesting if like the Elder Dragons were all um relatively equal. Like they would all just trade damage, like Geratidos and Baroth, and there wouldn't be like a conclusive victor.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing who Kieran fights with because according to, ecology and lore, it would be a Rajang.
I
Right.
deny that statement.
Yeah.
Is it just because you don't like the lore, or you don't want a Rajang in Monster Hunter Worlds?
I like Rajang. I'm okay with Rajang coming back. I deny that the logic for that doesn't make sense to me. That whole thing. I'm just going to say right now, I don't think that's canon. Because that happens in Frontier, is it? Which isn't Frontier non-canonical?
I am
Uh,
not sure.
I heard a comment to that effect the other day. Not sure myself though.
But what else
Yeah.
would Kieran fight with, really?
I could see it fighting with Legiana.
Thunderbolt is super effective.
Yeah. It's got the upper hand. It's an Elder versus... I mean, an Elder would have an upper hand against Rathalos, right? So that only makes sense.
Yeah, if like the flashes from Zitsuyaku can dunk Paolumu, then I imagine Kirin Thunder could like create like a Legiana comment instead of just like smacking to the ground.
Uh, could you imagine that, seeing like it sputter in the air and fall down? Like it just sort of like freak out from being like electrically shocked and then just fall on the ground.
Part of me is
Yeah,
wondering
yeah.
if they're going to, because we've had arena quests in the past where they just kind of stick three monsters of a theme together, like, oh, here's three lightning monsters, have fun.
Yeah.
Are they going to include territory clashes during arena fights where there's multiple monsters?
We don't know,
Hmm.
but we're gonna find out because there was that leak of the Nergigante, uh, Kushala Daora, and Teostra arena quest, triple quest, that obviously proved true with that sixth trailer. So like
Oh yeah.
it depends. It depends if they still feed him into the arena one by one, or if they just all start in the room together.
Because usually for the
Good.
three ones, you'd have two at the beginning and then one last bigger one at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see like a storm-based arena where you have to fight Toby and Kieran, and then it's the final one is a Kushala.
Hmm.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, they usually make those thematic quests.
Yeah, they're fun. It's fun to sort of like mix it up and do that kind of stuff. I just wish it wasn't in the arena sometimes. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing I liked about Generations is they had a lot of these multiple monster quests, like 3 or so, and you actually got carves from them that weren't mega potions.
Oh,
And
right.
They were in the maps and that kind of stuff.
Weren't there some arena ones where it was you still got actual carves from them? Not like there wasn't an arena quest, but it took place at the arena, but you still got carves.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there was any quests in Generations to my knowledge where your cards were mega potions.
Yeah, it was jarring for me going back to some quest in 4U or 3U after after playing that because like you got the instincts of like okay, gonna get some carapaces, gonna get some wings. It's like mega potions. Like, wait, what? And you carve a couple even though you're like 10 out of 10 mega potions already because you don't have the instinct built up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I did not like about the earlier games. You carved a mega potion because it's a multi-quest and you need the help healing. I'm like, I don't. I mean, maybe I took this quest because I wanted parts from all three monsters,
Yeah.
or maybe you figured me out, game, and I'm just sequentially clearing all the quests too.
One of the ones I can't wait for is I know this is kind of back to the wild speculation, but monsters like a monster like Basarios, where you'll just kind of be walking around and there's a weird rock that just is kind of out of place. And I'm hoping some of the monsters, at least one of the monsters in Worlds, will do that, where it's not directly obvious it's a monster. Like, you're looking for the clues, and your scout flies will take you to an area, and then just kind of taper off, and you have to kind of look around and actually see where the monster is based on your eyes versus something pinpointing it for you.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I could see that happening with
I could see it happening with Corpse Pile Monster. I don't remember its name, but you know what I mean.
We haven't seen its name officially, but yeah.
The only monsters that would go invisible were, of course, Chameleos, and then Basarios, sort of, but it was sort of obvious in the 3DS games, and because there weren't any other similar rocks around in most of the areas.
Yeah, sometimes there were, especially in the older games.
Yeah, I imagine before it was transposed, it made a lot more practical sense. And then the Mizutsune, Malfestio subspecies thing had invisibility.
Oh, I didn't get to him yet. Double Cross.
Yeah, it was like.
I do have a question, and I don't know if they've answered or not. Because I think it's tied to the whole G rank question. Are we getting white or purple sharpness in Worlds?
I don't think I've seen anything about that. I think all we've seen so far is green. I don't think we've even seen blue yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think they've always given us I think they've always just given us green sharpness in all the demos, right?
Yeah, probably.
I think so. Because it's the classic one ratio. You're doing 1-to-1 damage.
Oh, right. Oh, I did have a question. Actually, it was something that was announced a while back, and I believe Gaijin Hunter had a video on it. What do you think of the changed damage numbers? That they're going back to the damage numbers that are tied to the type of weapon again, versus just having universal damage. If you're not sure what I mean, in 4U, for example, if you took two weapons from the same monster, like a sword and this is made up, I don't know the exact numbers, but like a sword and shield would have 200 attack, whereas a great sword at the same level would have 1,000 attack.
Yep.
And then for generations, realistically they did the same damage because you hit like 5 times with a sword and shield for every 1 hit with a great sword. But then in generations they went back to having weapons on the same level having the same numbers. So a sword and shield would show 200 and a great sword would show 200. And it made it a little bit easier to compare weapons across weapon classes. And
because each weapon had its own motion value hits.
Yeah.
Whereas a great sword had better motion values than a sword and shield.
And so now they've revealed, this was a while ago again, but they've revealed that the Monster Hunter Worlds is going to go back to showing inflated values again. So again, dual blades are going to have small numbers. Great swords are going to have big numbers again. Do you have an opinion on that? Like, I think I'm a little disappointed, but I can kind of see for comparing within each weapon category. Like, if you're just comparing great swords to great swords, I think it probably helps a lot more.
And just for context, we're not talking about like what damage numbers that pop up on the monsters, just like in your equipment tab, basically.
Right.
Right. I should have specified that.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah. So it's a little bit more confusing. kind of have a lingering hope that they make it make more sense once we have the final game than it has in past final games, because in past final games it was just like this invisible math nonsense. Um,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really matter to me because like it's not something you have to worry about when you're actually like playing the game. And Monster Hunter to me, it's not really an RPG; it's just an action game with
Yeah.
options.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm a little divided on it just because of the fact that, from one standpoint, I can see a lot of people understanding. Well, yes, of course, the greatsword hits harder because it hits slower. But some people, I'm still worried, are going to get confused because they'll see a greatsword with a big, 3-4 digit number and compare it to a small 3-digit number off of a sword and shield or dual blades. And they'll get the idea of, oh, well, yeah, greatsword's clearly better than the dual blades because it's got bigger number.
Right.
I'm sure people figure it out pretty quick. It's because the sword and shields are faster, but it definitely opaques the decisions.
I know the one thing that it was kind of interesting for was when you made the crossover then to ranged weapons as well. Because you don't ever get the true numbers on ranged weapons because you don't see the numbers associated with the ammo either. Or
Right.
the stuff like how much damage, example in the New Worlds, like your snipe shot or your rapid fire chain gun thing are going to do versus rapid shooting elementals with light bow gun. So I'm just interested to see how it's going to play out in the full game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't care. I've never cared about damage numbers or how much damage I'm doing. I make armor sets and I make weapons, and I just sort of kind of, hey, that was a stronger monster, so that means it's sort of a stronger weapon. And then I also try to type match weapons at times. So it's like, oh, I'm fighting Diablos, I need my ice weapon. Like, I just do that. I don't really care about the numbers so much.
Right.
I think it becomes more of an issue if you play a lot of different weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can never decide on one weapon for a game. So, whenever I'm trying to cross compare weapons to find, like, okay, I'm having a hard time with this monster. What is the best weapon I own in my box? And it starts to get hard once you've upgraded some, and some may not be upgraded, or, what have you. It's hard to sometimes compare between them without seeing the average number versus the inflated number.
Correct. Yeah. It's just nothing that I've done a lot is switch weapons. I've always been more of a one weapon guy, unless I'm goofing around with friends, which, up until this point hasn't happened too often.
If I could change topics for a second, there's just like two
Sure.
more things I wanted to bring up from those commercials, which is you
Mm-hmm.
see a clip of a hunter firing his slinger at sort of like a fountain of like lava in the heart of the volcano
Yeah.
map, um, and it like surges up and knocks an Erdogan in his chin and flinches at sort of like environmental hazards like the boulders or something. And there's also another short
Hmm.
clip of Ergen and Lavasioth's clash, and Ergen seems to be shaking some sort of lava mines out of its hide like Baroth.
Which trailer was that? I'm actually going to check that out.
I'll link it, but impressions, do you guys make anything of that?
Oh, yeah, that Urigan has always been able to throw those sort of explosive rocks off of his tail.
Right.
He's always had some sort of rocks attached to him or something. So, it makes sense that he can throw off those explosive rocks in that animation, I guess. I think he's always done it with his tail previously, though.
Yeah, I noticed they did a thing with the Ergen model where those red sort of like molten parts of his tail, the little dots on it, they're actually
Mm-hmm.
the 3D model of the mines now, and they look like little ruby gemstones,
Mm-hmm.
soccer balls sort of, and that's what all of his projectiles are.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. Explosive rock hides. That's totally realistic, right? Yeah, there was a lot in that commercial, and a lot really quick. I think, yeah, a lot of people latched onto the whole Kieran thing because Kieran is a very divisive monster. Um, I wanted to point out something too. You talked about how did Kieran get up there, even though I don't like that whole ecology of Rajang versus Kieran because it just doesn't make sense. But Kieran does sort of climb up the mountain like a mountain goat would, just sort of hopping up on the small ledges and that kind of stuff. So I could see how Kieran could be in sort of that top area and sort of like bouncing off of walls or kicking off of walls and that kind of stuff and using momentum.
Right. Yeah,
Bounce horse does the bounce.
I guess I'm just a little having trouble picturing that because like if you see like a clear view of the top of the Coral Highlands, and it's kind of difficult because it's a very there's like a lot of different mountain peaks, and some of them are geometry, and some of them are out of bounds.
Yeah, I mean,
but the like the
I don't know.
actual mountaintop of it, it's like double cross. It's like the ruined ridge and that sheer like vertical mountain peak that Valfal climbs up. So
I mean, have you seen pictures of mountain goats standing on like two legs, like straddled on like a tiny pebble on the side of a mountain?
Yeah.
I see what you mean with the lava plume.
That's a good point, Fortuan.
It looks like just bad timing on the Uragon's part.
Oh yeah. He's the hunters got him trapped, or got him right at the right place.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to still be seen. We only barely. I mean, we don't even see anything with Kieran other than him rearing up. The fact that he's like freaking huge, but and the Uragon thing, I don't know. Yeah, I went back and watched it. It's so quick. There's lava. He flinches. Something happens. You know, maybe he shot like a swelling bubble in the ground. That's what happened, or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was some sort of a hazard for the volcano map.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
I'm just a little bit excited.
Although it's kind of funny, like hurting a monster with lava that can stand in lava.
By the way, I just want to point out, in that first clip that you'd linked, the 15-second video, you see the Rathlos like out on the plains instead of in the areas it normally is in that map.
True. Well, you can't always believe trailers.
Yeah, true. They may have just been a test thing.
If Ubisoft taught us anything.
That said, we do get a nicer clip of Corpse Dragon there.
Yes.
And I am excited to fight whatever it is because it looks cool as heck. And
I'm gonna call it the Swamp Dragon because it just reminds me of magic and swamps.
I just want to see the armor that gets made out of that thing. At this point, I don't even care if it has bad stats or useless. Well, nothing's really useless, but not ideal armor skills. I kind of want to fashion hunt more in Worlds than I have in any other game.
Yeah, because it's more fashionable
I would
now.
almost bet that it has anti-miasma.
Thanks for reminding me of that, Loborin, because there's actually something else that I gleaned from the clip of maybe it's Val Hazak, maybe it's something else, which is you can see like a passageway like leading from one area to the other and to the right of the dragon in one of the clips. So that that says to me that it's actually in the Rottenvale proper, and it's going to be roaming and not just a sort of an arena like stage Elder Dragon fight.
That's cool.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anything's going to be tied to like one specific area. Even Azora Magdaros even seems to be traveling the whole time because we've definitely seen him in different maps already.
One thing I've noticed, by the way, is and I know this is kind of a minor thing, but it's in terms of like theming. A lot of places do decay and poison and swamp and stuff like that. But this is the first time I think they've shown like. And this is the first time I've seen an environment in a while that's like, the mold, that kind of not like just slimy, muddy swamp, but that actually molding, decaying type of design and environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we've had swamps in Monster Hunter since the first game, and it was always like poison or murky water, or that kind of stuff. I mean, arguably the flooded forests would be the equivalent in the third generation.
Yeah.
Um, this sort of murkiness that you have in the water areas. Um, but even that one, flooded forest, is a little more lively than that. But yeah, I see this as the pseudo swamp map and worlds.
I just think it's a nice change from, because generally I find swamp levels kind of boring, or they try to fantastical up the mushrooms. You don't usually get that real dark, dirty, like actually decaying feeling.
Yeah.
A good example is like in Warcraft, you have dark green, brown marshes, or you have like really fantastical Zanger marshes with, like 6 or 7 story tall mushrooms and stuff. We never get that really like disease filled thing that I get from the poison marsh that we have in this one.
True. Yes, it is very unique.
Yeah, that's interesting that you guys are comparing it to a swamp. I didn't see it as that. I was looking at it like the new Sunken Hollow, like the new cave map, because it's all kind of underground.
Yep.
But yeah, it kind of fits that like dingy archetype as well. Where all the weird poison monsters like Giganox could show up.
Well, Giganox was in the tundra, actually.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
In third gen.
Maybe maybe Gypsaros is a better example.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just they had those dark caves in the tundra, which was weird. But hey, you needed to see those glowy stripes on Giganox. Be scared. So I don't. Is there a lot else to say about the commercial or Kieran or anything in general? Or
I think that was all of the like new stuff in it in the commercial.
For mine, it was I just like the new lightning effects, but that's just been constant. All the elemental effects look great now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. Just I think it's nice having the really nice looking lightning that actually lights up the area and stuff.
Yeah, it does look cool.
That's all I had though.
Yeah, me too.
From here, I just want to get into like a few hunter stories. Just sort of take it easy, because I mean we're coming up on release pretty soon, and I don't think we're going to get a whole lot more news to talk about. I think it's kind of just sort of a happy surprise that we got that TV commercial that had new news. So I'm gonna just like a story or two that you enjoyed out of Monster Hunter. So I'll save mine for last, just because. Not that it's super great, but Haru, what's like a favorite story of yours?
Well, do you want favorite stories or most exciting stories?
Whichever you want to do. Just we're just sharing stories,
Okay.
hunter stories.
I'll do a positive one then. So in 3U, that I kind of fell out of the series after Try. I didn't pick it up until the whole next game. I was out for a whole long time. But no, it was a couple of years between those two games compared to what we get now. And I had gotten a 3DS and I was playing on that screen, and like even on that small screen, like I went into the flooded forest and the first quest where you fight Duramboros, just like that whole like wind up of its like helicopter animation starting was just like such like I was staring at a game trailer and like losing my mind, but like it was happening in real time. That was just such a cool moment. Just that animation, discovering it for the first time in game, and I think like my brain sort of added to it. Like I was thinking of like, oh wow, the trees are getting blown back by the force of it, when the Wii wasn't sort of the assets weren't created to do that necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awe inspiring the first couple times because it's such a big monster, and you're like, it is moving so fast.
Hmm.
Holy cow!
I lost that hunt, by the way. It took me like 3 tries to get it.
Nice. Yeah, Duramboros was probably one of my favorite brute wyverns. One of my favorites to come from Portable Third, even over Zinogre, if it's controversial enough.
Yeah, it definitely stands out from the Arzuros and the Great Roggy in that game.
Yeah, yeah. I did enjoy Zinogre, by the way. I like Zinogre, but I just Duramboros was just I don't know. It was so cool fighting the mountain, as they say,
Hmm.
and the Flurgerbergs of Zinogre is just fun to say too.
Hmm.
So is that it, Haru? Just like helicoptering Duramboros, smashing you against trees?
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna give like Loborin a chance to go.
Sure.
This is for our favorite like hunting moments, right?
Yeah, we're just basically think of it like us sitting around like a campfire sharing hunter stories.
I think my favorite was when I finally beat the was it the legendary test at the end of
Oh
4U,
yes. Was
where
it
it
the
was
master's test?
I just remember it was a Rajang, a Zenogre, and something else, and it was so hard, and I tried everything. It took me so many times, and then you just basically dancing around hoping one damage is enough for the other to get to go down. Because if you just go in full attack mode, you'll get messed up by one of them or the other one. And it was like the only time I ever like got super determined. Because a lot of times I would just, if I had problems with something, I'd just set it down and come back and I'd be fine. But that was the first one that I couldn't do, and it bugged me. So I did everything I could to just get better and get better and get better. And then the day I finally did it, it was on a blinking red battery when I finally finished the quest. And I was just exhausted and happy and like just save the game, plug it in as fast as possible. And it was like the biggest moment of triumph for me. And I thought that was super fun.
Oh yeah, that is a tough quest.
Which monsters was that?
I think it was a Zenogre, a Rajang, and I can't remember the third one, but I think it was a Shigar Magala. I can check real quick.
Oh, that's just like was it on Sanctuary? Did they
Maybe
put it
the
like
Masters test. Let's see.
Because that sounds like
It was not It wasn't the Masters one because it wasn't Apex stuff. It was the one below that.
Yeah, it sounds like the Carabineers challenge, the one you had to complete to get the rainbow pigment.
Yeah, I think that was it. And it was just, it's the fact that it was such a sense of accomplishment. And I thought it was great. You really felt like you were the king. Oh, yep. It was in fact a Frenzied Zenogre, a Furious Rajang, and a Shigara Magala.
Oh, wow. That's really difficult.
It gives you the rainbow armor pigment, the Carabineers armlets, and then Caravan takes us to make the Hawkset and Lecturer series. And in that fight, the Zenogre is always in fully charged mode. Like, he is always fully up and ready to go. Which is terrifying.
I think for that quest, I just I tried it several times in high rank, but I couldn't get it because I really wanted that Fashion Hunter pigment. But I ended up just like going up to G rank and like crafting and upgrading some armor, and then out leveling them basically.
Yeah, that's how you do it. So I guess I'll go with the story I was thinking of. So I mentioned back in the PSP days, I played a lot more with my brother in those days, and we had a heck of a time bringing down our first Acantor. So Acantor starts in that sort of volcanic arena map. It's the same place where you fight Crimson Fatalis and that kind of stuff. I don't know if that map ever made a return in future games, or at least if it did, it was changed severely so. But it's kind of like the one where you fight um, the what's the variant of Brachydius, the yellow one, blasting.
Um, Raging Brigadius?
Yeah, yeah, him and a Cantor in 4U, is it? Yeah, 4U appear in this sort of like Ingle Isle, I think it's called, this like sort of volcanic just arena, and it's kind of like that in Freedom Unite. There's a kind of volcanic arena, and that's where a Cantor appeared in the older days, and we had a heck of a time bringing him down. But at this point, I was Hammer and he was a Lancer. So I would, I'd try to be breaking the tusks and knocking him out, and he would be going for the tail. So we were like, we started to get really good at it and that kind of stuff. But of course, mistakes happen. His freaking beam of fire would like one shot us, and it took us, I want to say, playing possibly anywhere between 6 and 20 hunts a day, a solid 2 or 3 weeks to defeat it.
Wow.
But we ended up coming up with I came up with a name for my brother during this quest. So he was the more careful hunter, and I've always been the more rash one. So I tend to card more than he did, and we would lose from triple carding most of the time. And sometimes it was just a stupid mistake. I would just get too greedy, or something like that. I was not as good of a player as I am now back in Freedom Unite, and I would die every single time we failed. I would die twice. I would cart twice, and then he would cart the third time. So I started making fun of him and calling him Lasty because he was always the last cart. But he would get so mad because I was the first 2 carts.
Right.
And I was like, it doesn't matter. You failed the quest. You were the one that died. He's like, well, because I had all my potions. And he's just like, he would get so mad at me. So if I ever want to annoy him, I just text him or send him a message. I'm like, hey, Lasty, what's going on? It still gets him angry. And it's been so many years. It's been over 10 years. So yeah, that was one of my favorite things. It was just like hunt. I didn't get to hunt with my brother so much in the beginning, not till the PSP days, and then afterwards we hunted a lot together in 3 and 3U. But when it became exclusively handheld, we just sort of dropped off, and that's where I became a solo hunter. So from 4U and Generations, I was mostly solo. But I mean, a good portion of my Monster Hunter days was just me and my brother playing together. Him as a lance and me as a hammer.
Yeah, that sounds jolly. Was it
It was.
Was it so extra difficult because you were only playing like locally with two players in multiplayer?
Yep.
Okay. Man,
yep, that's what we did.
You guys went straight for the deep end.
Yeah, a lot of people that I used to hunt with that I no longer hunt with, and some of my newer hunter friends have all like gone hard on Monster Hunter World. So much so that my brother, he texted me the other day. He was like, "Hey, so tell me a reason not to get Monster Hunter and the PlayStation." And I was like, "Well, I mean, you really wouldn't want to play with me or this person and this person and this person." Because, you don't want to play Monster Hunter with us. And you don't want to play Monster Hunter because it's not going to be a good game or anything. I'm just being sarcastic with him. And he's like, okay, fine, I'm buying a PlayStation 4. And I was just joking. And he ended up buying one. And he's been playing Star Wars, actually, since it came bundled in. But
I'm so ready.
Yeah, we are close. We are 10 days away from time of recording. Lots of stuff going on before then, like the third beta just the weekend before, and then the next weekend is full on. I think we're going to be doing an episode. We're going to be recording at least. I want to say the Monday or Tuesday after release instead of on the Saturday, because we want to have some more time just to play. have an initial impressions episode, basically. And in fact, GOG is another person that we know that just bought a PS4 to play Monster Hunter World.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm glad
he bought one. He's been playing Dark Souls 3, according to him. Of course, as most of you guys have noticed, GOG hasn't been on the last couple episodes, and we haven't heard from him for a while because he is literally snowed in. He's been snowed in for like 2 or 3 weeks now.
Oh, really?
Oh, gosh.
No internet, no outside connection. I once in a while get a Reddit message from him, which is also why we don't have episode 11 out, even though episode 12 has already posted at this point. Yeah.
So I have a question for you then. You have a PS4, correct? Like, just
Are you talking to me or Haru?
both.
Yes.
Making sure you both do. What have you been playing when you're not doing the demo?
Recently, a lot of my Switch. I've been playing Enter the Gungeon on the Switch.
Ah, yes.
I just got all 999 moons on Mario.
Oh my
not that long
gosh.
ago. I got that for Christmas. I already did that. So I was possibly was going to be getting some new games on my birthday today, but that didn't happen. So, Enter the Gungeon, and I've been playing Fortnite with my old high school friends that have started playing again because of Monster Hunter World. So we reconnected over that. I think I mentioned that in a previous episode.
Right.
So I've been playing Fortnite with them and Brawlhalla, just a bunch of free games until Monster Hunter comes out with them.
If you were looking for other games, which, like you said, I guess you're playing free games, but if you're looking for other games, I would highly suggest either the Final Fantasy XII remake or Yakuza 0, both of which I've been going back and forth between.
I never played FF12. I only like 2 Final Fantasy games so far. I only like Tactics and 7. And Tactics, I like the world it's in, Ivalice, and I know that 12 is in Ivalice.
Tactics is my favorite game of all time, but the 12's is made much more bearable because originally it was very slow. But if you buy it on the PS4, you have a button that either doubles or quadruples the speed of the game. So it makes me enjoy the game a lot more because now I can do some grinding because you can just set AI in that game for your party members. So once you have that set up proper, you can just do some grinding by turning to 4 times speed and just kind of running around in a circle and letting them do their jobs.
Yeah, that's
That
important.
sounds incredibly boring.
It's well, that's the thing is.
I'm sorry.
I get it, but it's more along the lines you can enjoy the storyline now versus like, okay, that story segment's over, and I want to unlock this node. Time for me to play for 3 hours and get a bunch of stuff versus 20 minutes of running around and having a good time and giggling because everything's moving at 4 times speed.
Loborin, I think I'm sort of on Fortuan's side. I'm not. I played WoW for my time. I'm not super enthused by MMO combat, but I will say that like the worst part about MMO combat is like waiting for your auto attacks to like whittle down a health bar. So that speed up sounds like a good feature.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I've also been playing Yakuza 0, which I'm starting to kind of associate as a Final Fantasy game, in the fact that while it's not turn-based, you're still wandering around the city and you get into random combats with just kind of thugs on the street. And it ends up being you versus 3 or 4 people, so it kind of feels like a random Final Fantasy fight. Because you have a little bit of screen swirl and then suddenly you're in a battle. Except all the random battles are fun because you're just beating the crap out of people and taking their money. So.
Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion what my wife got for me is Mario plus Rabbids. So I'll probably be playing that up until release if I get that soon.
That's also a fun game.
So I'll probably be playing that. Very off topic, but yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Oh, I just had another story if we're still doing that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So in 4U, the Dunes map, I had to get probably like bomb casings. So I was going around gathering sap, gathering all the vegetables to get some sap plants. I think they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I at the quest screen, I was like, for some reason I was thinking like I don't want to use my good armor on this quest. I'll just go around. I'll put the hunter's armor on, and I walk around, and I'm in those little cave areas, just sort of sitting there, and like it's not generations, and it's not world, so you just have to mash A and do the old Monster Hunter grind, um, and just sort of doing the due diligence of filling my item box. Um,
Yeah.
and a Benabra drifts up to me slowly. And I don't make anything of it. Like, there's a bunch of these and try. You just like ignore them. And it gets right up to me and it hits me with its stinger. And it's like, you fainted. 2 carts remain. And that was when I learned what G rank was, or how it worked anyway. Because I got one-shotted by a fucking Benabra.
Jeez.
Oh man, I hate the bugs. Yeah, there's been a lot of questions on the Monster Hunter subreddit about like, hey, what monster do you want to see come back? And you know, Shady Figure helped me realize that there's only one monster that I don't really like, and that's the King Shakalaka. I think I've mentioned that here before.
Right.
Just a creepy, annoying monster to fight. But one story I have is the Vespoid Queen. I actually like the fight with the Vespoid Queen because it kind of ratchets up like how do you make a Vespoid a boss, right? So if no one's ever fought Vespoid Queen, imagine like a queen ant where its abdomen is like 70 times longer. Now put wings
Right.
on it, and that's kind of what a Vespoid Queen is.
Yeah, I've seen like the images. I don't have a clear.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't have a clear
I
idea.
never got to fight King Shakalaka. I'm looking at it now, and I just what?
Yeah, it's basically you have to imagine why part of the reason why I don't like Cha-Cha as a follower is having just the previous game had nightmares of King Shakalaka beating the crap out of me, and then like, hey look, this cute Shaka is your friend and has a barbecue spit on his head, and I'm like, PTSD, stay away, no.
Yeah.
How tall was the Shakalaka King? Because I can't find any pictures of him next to a hunter.
At best up to your waist, maybe up to your knees.
That'd just be so hard to hit. That's like I'm trying to imagine like
exactly
a feline or a Melinx boss now.
And it doesn't even flinch you when it hits you sometimes. So it hits you and it does so much damage, and it does like, let's say 70% of your health, and it just like ran through you and you like didn't even notice. It's just like, here's your health slowly draining to 30% from full.
Yeah, that doesn't seem fun. What the heck?
Yeah,
No,
they can never bring back that fight either because like killing another sentient being is sort of like world breaking for Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, I was committing murder against the Shakas.
Here's some nightmare picture for you,
No.
Fortuan.
No.
For listeners, it's like
It's a custom
1, 2,
quest somebody
3,
made where you
6.
fought 9 Shakalaka Kings at the same time.
9. Oh,
no
jeez.
thanks. But anyways, I was saying the Vespoid Queen, I had a heck of a time with her because it's really obscure of how to fight her. So she's the one monster, I think, ever that you had to actually do something on the map for her to show up.
Really?
She wasn't just there. Yeah, Vespoid Queen was never just on the map. You had to kill 50 Vespoids in the jungle map, and then she would appear in the cave in the jungle.
Oh, it's huge.
What?
Yeah.
That's just torture. That sucks.
Yeah, but they don't tell you that, right? So I failed at this quest from timeout looking for her twice. And then I just like one time I was just like, I'm fed up and I'm just killing every Vespoid I see just out of frustration. And then I walk in there and then she's there. And I'm like, oh, okay, but I have 3 minutes to fight her because it's taken that long to sort of realize to kill them all. So then I'd try it another time, and I'm like, okay, she's here, obviously, but I didn't catch on that you needed to kill the Vespoid. That never connected in my brain. So I think it was another 2 times I failed the quest from timeout because I didn't figure out that I needed to kill Vespoids. So then, out of sheer frustration, this is like attempt number 6, I think. I kill every Vespoid I see. I'm just murdering everything. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I walk in there, and then there she is. And I was like, oh, it's because I killed the Vespoid. And then I fought her, and she's not that hard of a fight, unless she sprays you. So she has an attack that's pretty telegraphed, but it homes up until it shoots. So she starts the wind up, and then you have to basically dodge the last second, because she's going to basically follow you until she actually shoots.
So it's
and
like
she shoots defense down spray. And then that defense down spray, if you're hit by it, also attracts the Vespoids, so they become more aggressive and start dive bombing you.
Oh my gosh.
So
like,
it was very hard.
It's actually like killing like a Kuko in Zelda.
Yes. Less intense, but yes.
Right.
Jeez, I'm watching this fight and I don't like this monster. I just don't like how it looks. I don't like big insects like that.
Yep. It's kind of like a queen ant. That's kind of how she is. Kind of creepy looking. But, so yeah, that was another story. It's just like the Vespoid queen is just such a tough tough sell. So Lobo, what about you? What's one of your tales?
I think it was when I went into a GOG quest without knowing what GOG Mazios was.
Okay.
And my friend didn't prep me for it. I just kind of went online randomly, and then somebody posted a quest, and I looked at the monster, and it said GOG Mazios, and it was just a blob, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I don't know what it is, but let's fight it. And that was a shock. And we actually finished it. So the first time I ever fought a GOG Mazios, I did it. We managed to do it properly. And in that fight, 2 people had dropped out, disconnected, within the first 3 minutes. So
wow,
I actually ended up enjoying fighting GOG Mazios because I wasn't trying to run around doing any of the cannon stuff. I was just under its legs, hitting it with a great sword over and over again. And
yeah,
I know, it was like a very cinematic fight. The music was really fun. And I kind of like those big monster quests. Like, one of my other favorites is, the Dalamador for that reason. Is that I just love his fight music. I love his big scenery stuff. And I also like the ability that you're this tiny little ant wailing on something that can barely feel you.
I like Darin Moran and Jen Moran, but I kind of feel like Darin Moran is like the least needed monster ever. Because it's just a Jen Moran with 1 horn. Why did you change that? That doesn't make sense. And it works the same way. It's the same fight. I didn't know why that was a thing.
I like fighting those guys with pierce shots, be it through a heavy bowgun, light bowgun, or a bow, because it sounds so nice having your pierce 3 shots goes through it so long.
Right.
I imagine.
It bugs me too how they just because they literally reuse the encounter, its attacks, of course, and also this exact sand chip, and the exact sand chip phase at the end where you've got the side turn towards it.
Yeah.
It's like this didn't happen before. Jedi mind trick.
The first time,
new generation, new monster. No, not really, guys.
The first time I fought the Gen, it was with a group, and they did so much damage that it did the whole thing where it falls back out of carving range.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought that was normal, and everybody else was spamming upset, no, in chat and stuff like that. And I was like, what? Is this not a normal thing?
Right.
Because I'd heard previously, I'd heard about Frontier has that fight against the giant serpent thing, where after you kill it, there's a separate quest just to carve it, or there's at least a separate timer to carve it. And I thought it was going to be like that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so that's what's happening." No,
no, you just don't get carves. Which I don't know. I've never found anything that either Moran does that exciting as far as like equipment. Like they had decent water weapons, but like aside from that, I've never really cared much for their gear. So getting their parts just sort of meh for me. Like I'm getting them because I'm getting them, not really because I want them.
Before you unlooked, some of the stuff looked kind of nice.
It looked nice, but I didn't end up using it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I had like this conspiracy theory.
Again, okay.
Oh.
If you were done, Loborin, I don't
want to
take you off. Right. There's this like armor in Worlds that's sort of like a red ninja, and it has like rope-tied boots and like traditional Japanese sort of get up. And like everyone's saying it's from Odogaron, but I can't like reconcile that because it's got like this fire pattern on it. So like
that seems strange.
Like the Gen Moran, those Titanic monster fights were all like samurai armor, and Darren Moran as well. So I was wondering if it wouldn't be like related through that it would be like Zora Magdaros armor because it's got the same sort of through line.
Yeah, I could see that. What was it? Is it Leo Shun? It's also Leo Shun armor is also like kind of like that.
Yeah,
like a lot of those bigger boss monsters always had these sort of like almost traditional Japanese armors. At least I think so. I think that was Leo Shun's armor. It's been a long time. I'm thinking like Gen 1 Monster Hunter. Either that or Fatalis.
Lao Shan armor looks like Gen Moran armor, just like on a PS2, basically.
Yeah.
See, I see that one you just linked in it to me. That just looks like a raptor, by the way. I do like that armor, though.
I think that's Flash Raptor, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a screenshot of it with Fuzutsu.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Flash Raptor. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be playing World here soon, but I do have things to keep me entertained until then.
A lot of it's just because we're excited to play the new game, because we're running out of stuff of like, I mean, we can always gush, like, I'm super excited to fight Toby. The second I can fight Toby, I'm going to fight him until I made every single armor piece of him and at least 5 different weapons, because I love that look. It's like a tiny Dalmator.
Okay.
And the thing that's also cool is like Dalmator armor being another one of those large monsters. Had sort of a Western barbarian or also a like feudal knight. Like there's like armor sets with tabards and like plaid and like that sort of medieval look. Which is also sort of like mirroring the feudal Japanese look.
Yep.
Yeah. And all his weapons were so cool, by the way. Just the spikes, and they looked fearsome.
Yeah, I wish I had crafted more of that stuff in 4.
I've always enjoyed the sort of like I would say high fantasy armors. So like I like the cape that Gore gave you, or Shagaru, one of the two. I like the Rathalos armors. They sort of have that sort of iconic, like knight plus dragon look.
Yeah.
I love the Dragoon for the the Final Fantasy fans. I had to say I really do like the Diablos armor, but the one that I like the most aesthetically, I would have to say, is the Monobolos armor. that sort of black and red, like very intimidating, like what are those guys called in Zelda? The armored knight guys.
They've had so many names.
Oh, the Iron
But
Knuckles.
basically, the giant knight guys that swing chains and the older ones. It's kind of like one of those because it's like a black and red horn design. I love Monoblos armor, just the aesthetics. I used to love the stats on them too because they used to have attack up large, even in I want to say even in low rank.
I do agree with you. I like Shigaru's armor mostly because it's always very, very paladin like.
Yeah.
But my other armors and one of the armor sets I did almost most of the game with was Seregios armor. Seregios armor, I love the look of it. I love that scaled kind of warrior knight look.
The Pinecone Knight?
Kind of. And then the other was weirdly enough G rank, or not G rank, but the step down, just high rank because it was in Generations. But Yangaruga, because you got the really cool helmet and you got the awesome cape.
Yes.
Which is weird because
Garuga armor always look cool.
I hate the Garuga as a monster. I hate its goofy actions and stuff like that. But the high rank version, the low rank version looks terrible. I hate the weird ripply armor look.
Yeah.
But the high rank stuff looks nice. Because you go from looking like a goofy warrior to like some Sentai dude. And also his longsword was a halberd, so it looked pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see a lot of these weapon designs coming up, especially some of the contest winners from the weapon art contest. That happened a while back. Gosh, that was like what?
Rip Amber Hammer. That's
yeah.
I really like that design that didn't get chosen. The Vespoid frozen in amber could have been.
Yes.
Could have given you a flashback to Fortuan.
Yeah, I submitted a charge blade that was Ignactor, but in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have submitted a monster specific one, especially if it wasn't going to be in the game or something like that. Probably lowered my chances.
Right.
I've always had a couple ideas for weapons, but most of them are expanding existing joke lines of weapons. Like, we have the Chain Slaughter and we have the Switch Axe variant of the Chain Slaughter. I always thought it'd be cooler to have more weapons of that series.
Sure.
But I always like joke weapons in general.
Well, 4U had the that relic series of weapons that not like relic weapons, but like the ones where you could it was rusted and you could upgrade it, and it would come out with this like future tech version. Further called.
I like the fact that I think I could be corrected here, but the Lost Musket was one of the more famous ones, and it's so pretty.
The Demon Lock.
Yeah, because it had rapid fire Krag and Tri-Blast and flash shots and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the other two weapons of that series were not that great, even though they looked beautiful. Like the Sword and Shield was like this ornate mace scepter, and the sword was just this very pretty jeweled sword. But I supposedly in Double Cross they added more of that set, from what I understand.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but it was the Eldora blade and the the Lost Blade and the Treasured Feta. That were these really royal looking, shiny diamond encrusted gold weapons. And I always thought they'd be nice if they added more of those, like a longsword, or I want to see a fancy bow.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of this stuff, like the gun lance and that kind of stuff were hinted at in the early games. I've mentioned this before. The Undertaker lance eventually became a gun lance line in the later games. But to start out, like the lance was just like the Undertaker was just a lance. And the same way the great swords, the I can't remember the name of it. Eager Cleaver, actually. Used to be a great sword, and then it became a lightning longsword. So I've always liked this sort of foreshadowing of weapons that they used to do. I kind of, but all of the weapons have like sort of been hinted at, like they used to be, they used to exist back in the old days, back in the old war against the dragons and that kind of stuff. I'd kind of like to see some like weapons that were like developed in the new age, like maybe that boomerang or the dog. Although I couldn't see a dog in Monster Hunter at this point. Like, I mean, we've barely seen any like real world animals aside from poogies, which are kind of like just small pigs, and then small farm pigs, and then the cats. But even the cats are not really cats; they're more humanoid. So like I would kind of like to see some more weapon types eventually pop up that were like made in the new world sort of thing, because everything's been, to my knowledge, came from the old wars or something like that. Maybe the longsword hasn't, but definitely the gun lance and that kind of stuff. Of course, then there was the rumored gun hammer, because the revolver hammer and that kind of stuff.
Oh right, yeah.
Which didn't what's the name of that Monster Hunter clone that's on PC? Starts with a D.
Oh, Dauntless.
Yeah.
I played that for a little while. It's neat.
Didn't Dauntless steal the gun hammer already?
Yeah, it's a
Isn't
gun
that a thing?
hammer. It's not nearly as fun as the gun lance. Like, it's a cool idea, but it's just not that fun. I don't want to rip on another game, but I didn't like it.
Oh, no, I know. But I was just saying they actually made that concept when the Deadeye revolver's been in since early games.
Oh, right. But I always thought it'd be neat to see more weapons like that, where it has like old tech.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I just want to see some new stuff.
I meant to ask you, did you ever get the cool guitar switch axe?
Nope.
Because that's something I loved and I wanted, but I never played it long enough to get it.
Nope. I don't think I've made more than 3 switch axes ever.
Aw. There's been some... That's the first like switch axe we got that was very very heavily stylized and fun like that.
Yeah.
And most of the times unfortunately the cooler DLCs are limited to Japan. Like, we finally got the pirate one for Generations, but there's always been these really other cool ones that like the rock organ hammer hunting horn. Then I want to see more stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see.
Were there any? Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh, it's just a minor point. I'd like to see like how chaotic Dora Magala, like especially the gunner armor, and Chameleos had sort of like mage themes to their armor set. I hope the zombie dragon, since it's sort of that same sort of eldritch theme to it, I hope it has some sort of less melee looking armor set.
I did like the Chameleos bow, because it was not a bow. It was actually a staff and a magic tome instead. And instead of shooting arrows, it shot those little spiky balls similar to the Kelby bow.
Right.
So it looked like you were casting spells instead of just shooting out arrows.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool to see like a whole fantasy series of armored weapons, that kind of stuff. Like just a whole like mage stuff.
Here's a picture. It is a horrid picture, but it is still a picture.
Yeah, I made a set that was the Chameleos bow, because it's like a spell tome quiver, and then like you have like the flaming sort of like torch that you're holding as the bow.
Didn't most of the Chameleos weapons have like an invisible part of them that ended up lighting up with this orange translucent bit?
Yes, that's exactly right. I had a switch axe too, but I used the bow with the Nephilim set, the Chaotic Gormagala gunner set, and I never played
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
bow in 4 because it wasn't fun on a 3DS for me to aim and shoot. But like I thought that was like one of the best looking armor sets I could have made because it was like the cape was like it was like a black cape and it had like runes on it like magical runes and I once I got the rainbow pigment I set that to it and the magical runes started glowing and changing colors. That was nice.
that's awesome. Did they ever make any cool or like joke or at least really fantastical looking charge blades? Because it seemed like all the charge blades kind of followed the same theme. I wasn't sure if you ever made any that were really out there.
You know, I made every charge blade available to me in 4U, and I made every one available to me in Generations, and I do not remember many joke weapons, honestly.
I think
I
Generations at least
just,
had the cheese wheel, right?
yeah, I think that's about all I remember, though.
It gets kind of
So I think
hard because
that's.
um,
I feel like a lot of other ones are more iconic.
as you make like
Encyclave had that
more.
push broom. Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, just as you make more intricate sort of weapon designs, mechanical ones especially, like switch axe and charge blade, then have to have all these different shapes that move and shift. Like it becomes like
Yeah.
what it becomes more hyper specific, and you can't make
Yeah.
a charge blade or a switch axe. It's just like an axe, like or a scythe, like a great sword. And I know there's like a scythe, um, switch axe, but like my point is like you can have great swords are swords, and there's I think there's a scythe and there's axes, and it doesn't matter. But like you have to have these super like all the shapes have to work and not like clip through each other horribly.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah. I've always liked the lance and gun lance joke weapons. I think have always been the best. So there's the no swimming shark. You basically you're stabbing people with a shark as a lance. It's just a shark and has a no swimming sign for a shield.
Didn't they have a
And
plunger
then
too?
yeah, and there was the plunger on the toilet seat for the lance.
I think I
My favorite gun lance ever is the corn popper. It was a
Yes.
giant piece of corn.
I just like the sound effect it made.
Yeah, and then I would say to me probably one of the most iconic joke weapons for me is the what do you the teddy bear hammer that does sleep element and it squeaks when it hits people.
haven't seen those except for
Which
the
I mean,
first one.
I say teddy bear was like in the sleep bombing meta for a little bit too.
You know what? You were mentioning about more like fantasy elements, stuff like Chameleos. That might actually work in the Charge Blade's favor. Because I'm just thinking of an example being there's a set of dual blades for like Strider, where one of them's just one of them is a cool light sword, but the other is just invisible. So you're just like knife handing, like karate chopping with your offhand when you're wielding Strider's
Yeah,
dual blades. They could have a cool set where for a charge blade, it's just like an armband on your shield arm, so you're actually just deflecting things with your arm and your shield. And then when you go to combine, you're basically kind of like activating the magical part of your blade. So as you switch into axe form, the blade head stops being, or the shield stops being invisible, and it forms like a magical axe at the end of your sword.
Yeah,
I could see that.
that's definitely always territory they can go into. Is you can just make some of the shapes that exist as part of these weapons, part of them transparent and part of them physical looking, and then that will um, create a more out there
And
look.
purple.
And purple.
And purple. Very purple.
Very purple.
I'm excited that we have Kushala Kushala Daora weapons back because like that armor set is really pretty. It has like the uh, sort of bronze relief bust sort of face mask to it, and the weapons. Gaijin Hunter made a Kushala Daora like video recently, and he explained how all the
Yep.
weapons are themed around a different animal for each weapon
Yep.
type.
Yes.
So like the great or the switch axe is a bat and it's a scythe. It looks really cool, and
Yeah.
the bow is really great. It's a horse, um,
Hmm.
and you of course you flip it out like any bow. It folds together, and it looks like sort of like a bowsprit on a ship or of like a prancing horse like a
Yeah.
what would be on a carousel basically.
I like the guns kind of look like a shark's, and the lances are like the lions. I love the lance ones.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good look.
What's the longsword supposed to be? I just know it's a scythe that unfolds when you get, a spirit level, but
He said in that video that it was a snake. I don't really see it. I didn't really love that longsword, but as a longsword
Oh,
lover,
the snake was a hammer. It was a cobra. It was the hammer. I don't know what the long sword was.
I know your charge
then I have
blade
no
was a
idea.
turtle.
Yes.
Wasn't it a pretty good charge blade too, by the way?
If you're talking 4Us, yes, for sure. I use that quite extensively. In fact, I even honed for attack on that one.
Ooh.
I don't know. I didn't play in the meta so much because a lot of people are like, hone for defense, it's the best one.
Meh.
Don't care.
The
I'm doing healing.
the light bow gun was a wasp.
Right.
I just don't know what the heavy bow gun was. I just know it looked like a cool revolver. Like it also unfortunately happened to be like one of the best heavy bow guns in that game too.
Well, that wraps us up for today, Hunters. So thanks again for joining us. And remember, we'll see you next quest.
Fear Benabras.
Adios all.
Thank you, Hunters, for listening today. You can catch us on SoundCloud or any past episodes on Google Drive Download or YouTube.